On tonight's CTV News, residents of Timaru are pulling together to become a digital innovation hub. A new City Mall complex is unveiled today, and it's not just the commuters fed up with the city's traffic chaos. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. The verdict is in on the Phillipstown and Woolston school merger. The Education Minister has decided not to change her former decision, and the two schools will operate from one site from the start of 2015.
I have made a new decision that Phillipstown and Woolston schools will merge.
18 months of fighting the government to keep their school. The battle to stop a merger between Phillipstown and Woolston schools has been lost. The closure of Phillipstown will go ahead and a merged school will open on the Woolston site.
We weighed up a whole range of factors. These included earthquake damage, weather tightness, the age and wear and tear of buildings, as well as population movement and future growth, school locations and opportunities to create more modern schools with great new facilities.
Back in 2012, Education Minister Hiki Parata announced an overhaul in education, affecting 38 out of the 215 schools in Christchurch. Included in the proposal was a merger between Phillipstown and Woolston, but the two schools weren't going to go down without a fight. Last year, Phillipstown lodged papers with the High Court, and Justice Fogarty ruled the decision-making behind the proposed merger unlawful, claiming Minister Parata failed to meet two requirements of the Education Act, including the cost of Phillipstown being able to operate on its existing site being played down, and the financial information Minister Parata relied on not being explained in a manner that enabled critique. The decision was then left in limbo as the government and schools underwent consultation.
That's a very long time for the children, staff, parents and communities of Phillipstown and Woolston to have had to deal with uncertainty about the future of their schools. I am glad to be providing that certainty to them today.
The government is injecting over $11 million into the new school, giving the students the opportunity to learn in 21st century modern learning environments.
It is my view that this merger provides the communities of Phillipstown and Woolston with that critical opportunity.
Minister Parata says wherever possible in the local education changes, they aim to merge schools over fully closing them.
But there's also a very practical reason. It means that permanent staff get better opportunities at the jobs in the merged school than they would in a closure. So we've been very keen to protect opportunities for teaching staff as much as possible.
Leaders from both the schools aren't bowing down from the argument, and they say the fight isn't over. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
You might be annoyed with the roadworks, but as it turns out, so is the City Council.
Traffic cones and work on the roads might be adding delays to Cantabrian schedules, but the work is also holding up an independent audit into the Christchurch City Council's finances. The exact cost of rebuilding the earthquake-damaged roads is not known, and this is affecting the audit. Finance advisory firm Gigatown has yet to provide the final report on the state of the council's books. It was first due in February, but because there is so much uncertainty of the cost of repairing the roads, that report has been held up. As the Christchurch Press reports, an interim report from Gigatown suggests the costs were underestimated in the council's 3-year plan. The interim report has also raised concerns about the council's insurance position. The council has to pay for some of the anchor project costs, even if it doesn't get as much as it expected from insurance. The council's preparing to release the final report next month.
Plans for another major complex in Christchurch have been unveiled.
The future of Christchurch City Mall has been unveiled. The plans for the Casual Street office and retail precinct will cost $100 million and sport a sophisticated design. Litchfield Holdings, headed by Nick Hunt, has begun its first stage of building. Foundations are being laid next door to Anthony Goff's The Terrace development between Casual, Hereford and Colombo Streets. The City Mall will feature buildings around a public square, glassed roof atrium and laneways running through the mall. The Restart Mall is being moved to make way for Stage 2 of the development, which is set to kick off in July. The mall has already leased half of the complex, including government departments, a bank and major retailers.
A local councillor's bid to save a heritage building has been ignored after years of trying to convince the government to keep the Majestic Theatre.
2 years of hoping to save a heritage building. Christchurch City Councillor Jani Johansson has sent numerous letters asking for a sit-down with the Arts, Culture and Heritage Minister Chris Finlayson, but his pleas for the face-to-face meeting have been ignored. The Majestic Theatre is set to be demolished to make way for the widening of Manchester Street, which is part of the Christchurch Central Development Unit's blueprint. Councillor Johansson is the head of the Council's Community Recreation and Cultural Community and has been opposing the demolition of the theatre. The Minister's office say if everyone who wanted a building to stay up got a meeting with the Minister, he'd never have enough time in the day. The Majestic Theatre has had the backing of the entire Christchurch City Council. Marianne Dalzau's bid to convince the director of the Christchurch Central Development Unit had failed in a last meeting called between the two. Save the Majestic group have protested the demolition of the building, and their spokesperson for the group says their fight to save the building won't stop until they see it reduced to rubble.
The World Buskers Festival has made its first loss. The loss coincides with the Christchurch City Councillor questioning the festival's future.
As reported in the press, the World Buskers Festival ran at a $14,000 loss this year. It's the first time the event has not made a profit since 2009, when the Christchurch City Council purchased the festival. World Buskers Festival Trust Chairman Jeff Cranko has told the Council's Finance Committee the festival has made an operating surplus of $90,000 over the past 4 years. But the earthquakes have meant costs to run the festival have risen to $2.2 million. The council provides $230,000 a year for the festival, but in the next financial year, that figure could be cut by 15%. The Festival Trust is against that cut. Last month, Council Finance Committee Chairman Rafe Manji was reported saying $2 million of cost was an exceptional sum of money for buskers who stand outside and play music or do tricks. He suggested the council should not be in the events business.
Timaru residents are pulling out all the stops for the city to become a leading digital innovation hub.
Timaru is currently in the running to receive the best internet connection in New Zealand. The campaign is called Gigatown, and the prize is being the first town in New Zealand to get a 1 gigabite per second internet connection through new ultra-fast broadband fibre. The town who wins will be poised to become a leading digital innovation hub and be the first to experience the impact that ultra-fast broadband can have on the economy, how children learn, and how communities live and work. To win, Timaru must have the loudest voice on social media and the most supporters signed up on the website. Aoraki Development Business and Tourism is keen to win the prize as well as capitalise on the digital education opportunity and the chance for nationwide publicity. All schools in the region will hear a presentation. The students will be encouraged to sign up and start hashtagging Gigatown Timaru on social media. To sign up and support Timaru in their bid for fast internet, visit www.gigatown.co.nz and choose Timaru.
Coming up, Rangiora High School is adapting to its growing student role.
Let's face it, everyone has an agenda. And guess what? So do I. Every week, I'll pick 3 stories that grab my attention. Agenda with me, Brent Goff.
Ready to go, mate? Flight leaves at 4:30.
Relax, mate. We'll park at Airpark Canterbury.
Airpark Canterbury, privately owned and operated with a free 24/7 shuttle service. Call 0800 Airpark or book online at airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Are
you looking for more from your local channel? CTV are online. Our latest listings, on-demand shows, program information, all on the CTV website. We'll see you there.
Potholes. To some, a simple hole in the ground, causing no harm and no concern. But don't let that fool you. Potholes are dangerous. Did you know potholes have been linked to numerous nasty falls and flat tires? So if you have a pothole situation on your property, don't panic. Call the Pothole Repair Company. They'll fix your potholes in a jiffy. So next time you see a pothole on your driveway or in your car park, call the Pothole Repair Company.
3799799. Remember the nights, go Blue Star.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are handpicked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis.
Drive It takes us on a ride to showcase the new arrivals to the motoring sphere, comparing and testing the latest models to discover the best. Drive It, Sunday afternoons at 12:30, right here on CTV.
Following the 2011 earthquakes, Rangiora High School's role increased by hundreds as students flocked to North Canterbury with their families. Now the Ministry of Education has plans to develop the school's site to cope with the growing numbers.
Expanding the school to cater for the growth. Rangiora High School was plagued by overcrowding, following the masses of families shifting to North Canterbury after the 2011 earthquakes, leading the school to operate out of less than ideal classrooms.
But we still have a third of the school in prefabs, and that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to the ministry, it's unacceptable to the board and to the community, but it's the reality of what happens in Christchurch when you've had two major events, and we're only 3-4 years out from that.
Construction on the 8 additional classrooms was set to begin in February this year, but the Ministry of Education has developed the plans to include maintenance on existing buildings as well, upping the bill from $8 million to $12 million, which is waiting to be signed off by the government.
We're all just waiting. JASMAX, the architects, are all ready to go. Building Intelligence are all ready to go. We're all ready to go, so we just need to sign off.
The new development will incorporate the modern learning environments being introduced into New Zealand schools.
That's classrooms without walls, it's interactive learning, it's Skyping, it's teleconferencing. So it has huge implications for pedagogy, best practice, teacher retraining, on-site professional learning. So it's a pretty exciting environment to be in at the moment.
But it won't just be the students who will have to adapt to the new learning style.
It's pretty challenging for teachers. Most of us trained in the 80s. Many of our younger teachers are well on board with what modern learning environments look like because they've been trained in that way. But it's to get all of our staff to the point where they feel confident and capable that they can cope.
Zoning for Rangiora High School shrunk in 2012, excluding Pegasus and half of the Woodend area. Rangiora High School has a limit of 2,000 students, and the principal Peggy Barrow says there are no plans to expand above this.
It's to make sure that the role doesn't version out and we create a huge secondary school in North Canterbury to the disadvantage of our sister schools, which are just as capable of providing fantastic quality education in North Canterbury for North Canterbury kids.
The expansion of the school buildings is set to be completed by 2016. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
The Meat Industry Excellence Group is hoping to reform the red meat sector by reshaping the current model to deliver security to every part of the production line. They say the industry is in crisis and serious changes need to be made.
Blair Gallagher's lived on this sheep and beef farm since he was 4 years old. He's a farmer in Canterbury's foothills and an executive of the Meat Industry Excellence Lobby Group who hope to restructure a model they say isn't working. One of their goals is to achieve consolidation in the industry.
We've got two co-ops that farmers own, Alliance and Silver Ferns, that supply or process 54% of the sheep meat industry in New Zealand. And unfortunately, they're going head-to-head, not on a dwindling supply base, in procurement, but also in the marketplace.
Mr Gallagher says the lobby group's aware Silver Fern Farms and Alliance Group aren't the only players.
The other 45% of the industry is privately owned. So the next part of our strategy is to try and reform that by getting committed and contractual supply.
Current statistics show 6 to 7% of sheep and beef land is being converted to dairy and dairy support every year. This poses serious threats.
And that's putting real problems on the outlets for store stock. Not only store lambs, store cattle, breeding ewes, and also the dairy farmers, because they're more profitable, they can compete directly for any feed and can pay more than sheep and beef farmers.
For anyone unfamiliar with the term store stock, many farmers grow their sheep and cattle up to a certain point, then sell them as store stock to a finishing farm. Finishing requires prime agricultural land, the sort leased out for dairy support. He says another big issue is overcapacity. In other words, too many meatworks, not enough meat.
We've got a shrinking supply, too much capacity in the industry, and we haven't got a coordinated, consolidated entity looking at procurement but also in the marketplace. So that's the fundamental problem we've got.
Mike Salverson's the Federated Farmers Meat and Fibre spokesman for Mid-Canterbury. He's a sheep and beef farmer just up the road from Mr Gallagher. He doesn't think it's all doom and gloom. He says some prices are relatively high.
Venison's low at the moment, but there are particular reasons for that, which relate to the European economy as opposed to what's happening here. The lamb market is it's not historically high, but it's historically higher than base level sort of thing. And along with a very strong currency, we're still selling overseas in USD and GBP at quite high levels.
In spite of this, Mr Salverson says changes need to be made to the makeup of the sector to address the issue of overcapacity, but those changes must come from within. Another issue he mentions is the location of processing plants.
Alliance sold one plant last year in Christchurch, which was easily developable land, and as opposed to other plants in other parts of the country, which are in remote small country towns, which therefore mean there's a liability rather than a value if the plant was closed.
He says in such situations, it's easier for the companies to just keep those plants ticking over. When asked about the problems caused by the growth of dairy, he says for individual farmers, there's opportunity, but for the sector it poses a threat through reduction of supply. Mr Salverson says farmers could help by giving security of supply to the meatworks.
Most farmers have supplied the same companies by and large for many years. What they haven't done is ever signed a bit of paper to say they're going to for the following year. So there's nothing the meat company can do to sort of bank it or say they've got this much secure supply coming through for the season.
Blair Gallagher says it's important for the country's economy the red meat sector does well.
We are getting too reliant on dairying. We've got too many eggs in one basket, and at the moment, we've got incredible demand for our protein, but we're just not delivering the best profitability model back to the whole industry.
The lobby group hopes to hold an industry-wide summit later this year. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Residents of the Avon River were relocated this morning as works began on the precinct near the Bridge of Remembrance. Eels, among other fish, were shocked, drugged and moved until the works are complete.
Developing the 3.2 kilometre long Avon River precinct means in-river works clearing built-up sediment to improve the river's health. But before that work, some residents will need to clear out. Residents like these New Zealand long-finned eels. The fishing technique employed is stunning.
So what we use is electric fishing machines. So on the backpack, within that backpack there's a couple of batteries. That runs an electric current through the water, which is a pulsed current, and that forces a forced swimming motion in the fish. So they're temporarily stunned, which means that we can catch them in the nets, put them in a bucket and take them out of the river.
While fishing, the team have to wear special waders and rubber gloves so they don't get shocked themselves. But how do the fish take it?
But for small fish, the differential is a lot less. So big eels, like the ones we got in the bucket here, would be affected quite hard. But the smaller bullies and the smaller eels, not so much.
The fish need moved due to work being done for the precinct. The first stage of which involves removing undesirables from the Avon.
So we're removing the silt and we're going to create narrowings and widenings and places for eels and the fish to live, and cleaning the gravel so the invertebrates can live there as well. So
Mr Kerr says having a cleaner river will be an asset not just to the precinct but to the entire city.
The people have asked for a green city, and I think that's a really good thing to ask for, and this is really a core part of a green city, having healthy water and healthy river. And therefore people will come to see and enjoy the benefits that has, let alone the fish and the eels, and then the buildings and the businesses come from that.
It might be a bit of a shock for these eels who are shifting to accommodation farther upstream, but Shelley McMurtry says it's all for their sake.
All the work that we're doing here is all to improve the health of the river. It's been degraded over the last couple of centuries, so this is our chance to really turn that round, and it very much is a healthy river, healthy city type approach.
Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Still to come, our rural traffic and weather updates.
Join us tonight at 6 for DW World News. Informative, lively, international news, breaking stories and global developments. DW News, weekdays at 6 p.m, right here on CTV.
Do you wear an earpiece or earmuffs? Do you have trouble hearing people or the TV? Do you have itchy ears? Then it's time to clear the air. Their gentle micro-suction technique is not only safe and efficient, but it's also performed by fully qualified, trained, registered nurse. Call for an appointment or Clear the Air can come to you. Need earplugs? We have swim, noise or aeroplane plugs and many more. No referrals necessary. Hear every moment with Clear the Air. Phone 0800 Ear Clean. The Valiant Tavern has been in the centre of Heathcote Valley for over 130 years. This new and iconic tavern is rich with history and the only tavern in New Zealand with an original artisan well. Open 7 days, the restaurant offers an outstanding menu with great weekly specials such as Tuesday $15 steak nights. If you're looking for a relaxing afternoon or evening out, then enjoy the spacious courtyard and outdoor area. Also available for private functions and special occasions. Located near the Christchurch gondola and just a short drive from Sumner Beach.
The home show sale is on. Hi, Mike from Four Seasons. We have the largest range of gas and wood burners on display. All wood burners and gas fires are heavily reduced. Save up to $1,300 on fire and flue packages. The home show sale at Four Seasons Home and Leisure, Tower Junction Mega Centre.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest. Then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference More Mobility makes.
Europe in concert. A new, fantastic international artist performing every week. Saturday evening at 7 p.m, right here on CTV.
Our weekly regional roundup focuses on stories coming from North and Mid Canterbury.
Up north, Kaiapoi say they're positive about the future. Businesses say recovery is going well 3.5 years on from the September 2010 earthquake, which devastated the town, leaving 1,000 homes red zoned. The Huranui District Council is proposing a 40% cut to the library budget, which means almost 1,000 new books won't make it to the shelves of its libraries in the next financial year. And looking south, Ashburton is set to get a new retail heart as a group of the town's CBD landowners combine their holdings for a comprehensive development to be known as Eastfield. The land scheduled for development is in the Cass, Burnett and Tankard Streets block and comprises 9,000 square metres in area and 18 land titles. Most of the land is either vacant or has buildings which don't meet the new standards of the earthquake code. The majority of owners are long-time Ashburton residents who will all take ownership in the overall project based on independent valuations. Eastfield will provide a new focus for the town's CBD, and details of the biggest development in the town's history shall be known in the next few weeks. Rakaia Gorge farmer Donna Field is the new chair of the Ashburton Water Management Zone Committee. She shall replace Matthew Hall, the founding chairman. Since its founding, the committee has worked on water management in the Ashburton district, with more work still to come. Mrs Field has been a member since the committee formed 3 years ago, and also chairs the Whitcomb Land Group.
And for more information about those stories, see tomorrow's edition of the Ashburton Courier and the news in North Canterbury. And if you're driving around the Christchurch Central City, CTV's traffic update will assist you navigating the repairs taking place.
Hello travellers, there's heavy congestion on the roads this week. Let me keep you up to date with the changes. Works at the Montreal and Victoria Street intersection have kicked off this week. This will be a busy hotspot, especially during the drive to and from work. Montreal Street will be down to one lane at this intersection. Fitzgerald Avenue North is a good alternative for those who are looking to move around the city. If you're hoping to access Papanui Road from this intersection, please avoid the temptation of driving down Victoria Street. If you do, you'll find yourself in a jam. If you use Montreal Street instead, before turning right onto Papanui Road at the Beeley Avenue intersection, you'll get to your destination faster. Stay tuned this week for more updates on what's happening with the Central City roads, and in the meantime, visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
And finally tonight, your regional weather.
Good evening, Canterbury. Let's take a look at your regional weather. Starting down south in Timaru, Temuka and Geraldine, 15 degrees. Heading to Ashburton and Methven, ever so slightly warmer at 14, and in Rakaia, 14. Taking a look at Leeston, Darfield and Ralston. Now not too cold, 14 degrees today. Lincoln 14 and an average day in the Garden City. Christchurch 14. Heading towards Akarawa 14. And as we head across the Waimakariri River to Kaiapoi and Rangiora 14. Taking a look at what the weather was like in Amberley, also 14 today. And heading north and into the Huranui, Culverden and Handama Springs 14, and Cheviot, you were the same on 14. And Kaikoura had the low of the day on 13 degrees. And as we take a look at what's happening tomorrow, we start off in South Canterbury. Timaru can expect low cloud at first, breaking with sunny periods increasing during the afternoon and light winds. Tonight's low 8, tomorrow's high 15. Looking at what's happening in mid-Canterbury, Ashburton has a dull start for your Thursday, but sunny breaks increasing during the day as winds tend northeasterly. Tonight's low 8, tomorrow's high 15. Christchurch, pack a jacket with you if you're heading out. Some rain at first clearing, but remaining mostly cloudy with light easterly winds. Tonight's low 8, tomorrow's high 14. If you're heading out for a surf in Kaikoura, make sure you go in the afternoon. Damp and dull in the morning, but skies lightening a little during the afternoon as rain clears. Tonight's low 8, tomorrow's high 14. And taking a look at the other areas, Temuka and Geraldine 15 and cloudy all day. Methven a low of 8 and high of 15. Rakaia, you're the same on 15. No change as we take a look at Darfield and Leeston, a high of 15 and a low of 8. Ralston and Lincoln expecting rain in the morning, clearing to cloud in the afternoon and a high of 15. Looking at what's happening in Akaroa, the low of the day on 14. Heading to North Canterbury, Kaiapoi and Rangiora. Rain and some cloud expected with a high of 15. Same in Amberley, a high of 15 and a low of 8. Culverden, Handama Springs and heading east to Cheviot. Rain expected in the morning with a low of 8 and a high of 5. Looking ahead for Canterbury, mostly cloudy on Friday with light winds, tending northeasterly during the afternoon. Cool southwesterlies freshening on Saturday with cloudy skies. Some drizzle or light rain developing during the afternoon. Cloudy and cool on Sunday with a risk of drizzle patches, light winds. Some rain developing on Sunday night. Cloudy on Monday with outbreaks of drizzly rain. Moderate northeasterlies becoming fine and milder on Tuesday with moderate north to northwesterly winds and high cloud. And that's all for your regional weather this Wednesday. Have a lovely evening.
And that's CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.